Order the meeting, the special committee of the whole meeting for Tuesday, February 24th. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Rusk, Deputy Mayor Sheffield, Councilor McElroy, Councilor Johns, and Councilor Amboise are present.
All right, thank you. First order of business is boards and commissions. We have two people who are reappointments and one person who is an appointment tonight. The first person that we have in front of us is Mary Lowe?
Mary Lowe?
Mary Lowe for Planning and Zoning Commission. Mary, do you want to step up?
Sure.
See?
Do I sit here? Yep. Okay, good. Thank you.
So Mary applied for a vacant spot on, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not on, so I'm hoping that all got picked up. Mary applied for a vacant position for a full member of Planning and Zoning. And I asked Mary to come tonight to see if anybody had any questions. Her resume and application is in our packet. So I will open the floor for any questions if anyone has any questions, or if you'd like some of her background. Deputy Mayor?
Hi, hello, Mary. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Thank you for looking to be part of planning and zoning and looking to volunteer. We thank you for that service. And yeah, I looked over your resume. It was very impressive. And I noticed done a lot of different types of work in the journalistic field. So it must be very rewarding and fulfilling for you, and pretty exciting, I think. And it's great that you're willing to, work with the city. How long have you lived in the city of Groton?
I'm sorry, could you just repeat your question?
Yeah, how long have you lived in the city?
Yeah, okay, good, thank you. Yeah, my husband, John, I'm not sure where's the camera? I'm not sure how to look at you while I'm speaking.
Your camera is going to be there. His camera is up there on top of the
I don't know which way to
monitor.
face. Okay, nice, thank you. Yeah, my husband Jonathan and I moved here last August. We came from Warwick, Rhode Island, where we had lived for 34 years. And a year or two ago, we decided we were ready for a change. We wanted to make a change. So our kids are grown and gone. We didn't have any family in that area. So we decided we were up for a change, and that's what brought us to Groton. The specific reason, well, we were looking for a house to buy in kind of a crescent from Westerly, Stonington, Mystic, Groton, New London into Deep River. That was our crescent of search for a house. And we found a house in Groton near the monument, and we loved it, still do. Love the house, so, and the neighborhood. So that's how long we've been here, since August, 6 months.
Okay. So what enticed you for, be involved in planning and zoning? Is that something you did in Rhode Island previously, or anything like that?
Well, I made some notes having to do with my experience, which is, I think, well suited to do this work. And at the end of my notes is the answer to your question, which is that I believe zoning is very important. It's very important to any community, because it what did I write down? It helps determine the shape and the future of a community. I mean, it very much in a literal, on the ground fashion. Zoning is a big factor in the development and future way that the community will create itself or recreate itself. So I think it's important. It's real important. I think I would find it interesting. I'd like to be part of making these important decisions, and I think it will be, for me, for my benefit, I think it'll be a really fun way to get acquainted with this community, like going deep. It'll be a way to really go deep in getting acquainted with this community. But the primary answer to your question is that I think zoning is very important in the development of how a community will be in the present and in the future.
Are you in favor of, economic development, small businesses coming into the community? I know we have two largest corporations that buys and electric vote, a very dominant factor here in the city. But do you look to see where there's areas for small business here in the city that we're trying to develop? Is that something you're in favor of, or, something you would like to see?
You're asking about small business in particular?
As far as, yeah.
Yeah. Well, small businesses are essentially the backbone of the economy. They're the biggest employers. I mean, I'm talking nationally. So small businesses are important. If a small business has a product or a service that people need, and that it makes a contribution to the community, then absolutely, I would think it would be welcome, provided it's something that, if it's not something that people needs, it won't last long, number one. So, but if it provides a service or a product that people need and enhances the well-being of the community, by all means, I mean, any business that's, or enterprise that's brought into the community has to be evaluated, of course, in its location, what it does, and whatever resources it might take for the community. But sure, small business is important.
That's all for right now. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Deputy
you.
Mayor. Does anyone else have any questions?
Madam Mayor, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Hi, thank you, Ms. Lowe, for coming in tonight. I apologize for not being there. I've been bombarded by snow drifts and whatnot.
Yeah, I barely made it myself, yeah.
The only question the question I have right now is, I'm looking at your application and it didn't have any political affiliation targeted. What is your political affiliation, if any?
Well, I'm registered as a Democrat, if that's what you're asking. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a registered.
And a question to the mayor is does this fulfill the requirement of minority party representation? Is this kosher with what our charter states to have someone put onto the Planning and Zoning Commission?
Yes. Is the short answer, yes.
Thank you, City Clerk, appreciate it. That's all I have right now. I guess, I'm sorry, I'd like to take the time to think about this for a hot second.
Please do.
Due to the nature of our unique area with the historical, trying to increase the modern, I guess I'm trying to look for your perspective on how do we dovetail the historical with the modern moving forward in the city of Groton.
History, I mean, the development of a community is always in motion. I mean, today will be history 10 or 20 years down the line. So, of course, if you're talking about historical sites or actual places, it's my impression that this whole area, the city, the town, and New London and so on, have a very high regard for their historical places. In fact, my husband and I just joined on a 10-week learning experience with the Thames River Heritage Park. We're doing a 10-week learning experience to be trained as docents there. So we're going to be seeing all those historical places in our 10-week experience. But I think that the whole region seems to have a high regard for its historic places, and it should. It should. The history is important. It should be protected and enjoyed and celebrated. So, you know, but a city is a living thing, and its population changes, business changes, needs change. So the ebb and flow of needs and what the city the kind of place the city wants to be, needs to be alive. The city is alive. It's a living thing, and history marches on. So I don't really see any conflict necessarily overall between respecting and loving our history and making room for today and tomorrow and whatever kinds of ways the city wants to develop itself moving into the future. I don't really see necessarily a conflict, but certainly historical sites and the historical stories need to be respected and preserved and celebrated. I'm not sure if I answered your question, but I tried to.
No, I appreciate your candor in that. My big thing now, and I don't want to pigeonhole anybody, but we have a lot of historical areas here on top of modernizing industry. And I want to ensure that whatever we do in that group moving forward, we're going to follow the statutes, in the Connecticut General Statutes, federal regulations, as well as what we have on the books to ensure that we can kind of dovetail all of those interests, so that we can focus on moving our city forward in these modern times. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I sincerely hope so. I think people are of great reverence for the history of this area. So I don't see why there needs to be necessarily a conflict if planning is done well.
Great, thank you. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Councilor McElroy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I live very close to you, and being new to the area, I would love to know your thoughts on Thames Street and the business, that business district. I've lived here for like 30-some years, and I've thought about like what could be on Thames Street, and I think this, like a lot of people on City Council are starting to look at like how we can make Thames Street a little more vital. Have you thought about that since you moved here?
Oh yeah, I walk on Thames Street a lot. Well, I think that it's clearly kind of not very lively.
We agree.
Economically, and I think it's would be a very good thing if the city tried to, working with the property owners, would start thinking and moving toward a way to make that area more of a resource for people, providing goods or services, providing pleasure, providing views of the river, providing joy, housing even. It seems like a wasted kind of resource. It's right there on the riverfront. The river is a beautiful thing. I like the riverfront because I like a working waterfront. I think a working waterfront I like looking out on that working waterfront. But I think it's sort of a wasted resource at this time, and people could be enjoying it and using those areas that are just not inactive. Just really seem to be inactive and more or less defunct. But it's, most, I don't know, I can't say most. Many communities with a waterfront really love and celebrate their waterfront. And they want people to come down to the waterfront and enjoy it in what way or another. Walking, playing, strolling, living there, dining there. So, you know, I like that funky old aspect of Thames Street. I walk down there at night a lot, and it feels like a set from a movie, you know? It feels like film noir. It feels like a set from On the Waterfront or something. But it's, you know, it really is underused. And people, you know, people love their waterfronts in a lot of places, and they, I mean, it's not new. It's, I remember a long time visiting Baltimore when they developed the waterfront. It was a very, very big deal. So, yeah, it should be, you know, made in, encouraged. The zoning or whatever, planning or zoning needs to encourage useful uses of that place so it can be enjoyed.
All set? Counselor Johns?
Hey, I was just curious, how high on your priority list is affordable housing for this city?
You know, provided that it's done wisely, I would say it's pretty high on my priority list. You know, any project should be evaluated on its own merits. Of course, it should be evaluated on its own merits. But we live in a time when you know, housing is hard to pay for. It's hard to pay for. I mean, I came into the start of my career, marriage, and raising my family, when you could, you know, have a hope of buying a house. Maybe, you know, you could have a hope of it, but it's a very, very tough situation for people now, at the early point in their career and their creation of a family. So I think that any project ought to be evaluated on its merits, how it serves the community, what resources it takes from the community, needs from the community, you know, such as utilities and schools and so on. But the situation in our country generally is rather dire right now for people to be able to afford a place to live. So the short answer is I would say it's pretty high on my list of important things.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, does anyone have any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I will take a motion to move this to the mayor and council meeting of March 2nd, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 That is unanimous. Thank you so much. So the next step is that this will go to the mayor and council meeting next week, and as long as you're approved then you'll be appointed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate your attention.
I appreciate you coming out tonight. Okay, next on our list is a motion to, or a reappointment of, I'm sorry, I need to look at her first name.
Kiona.
Kiona, thank
Strickland.
you, I'm not on that page. I'm trying to do the whole computer thing, and so Kiona Strickland to Youth Advisory Committee. She has been on the committee since 2021. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Excuse me. Seeing none, I will take a motion to move this to the March 2nd mayor and council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 That is unanimous. Third on our list was Lisa Lambert, who has withdrawn her name, so that will not move forward with that tonight. And the fourth one is Megan Bishop for Youth Advisory for a term to expire on her term expires on 3/7/26, and she wants to continue serving. She has served for 2 years. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, then I will take a motion to move Megan Bishop to the mayor and council meeting of March 2nd, 2026.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Counselor Amboise, I didn't get your vote. Counselor Amboise?
I'm in favor,
Oh,
yeah.
thank you. Thank you. Okay. That is the end of our boards and commissions appointments. So next on our list, I will have Sierra Patrick come up for Connecticut Main Street.
Good evening, counselors. So my name is Sierra Patrick. I'm the Economic Development Manager here. So Connecticut Main Street is an organization that the city is a member of. They've been working with myself and the EDC over the past 6 years to kind of help us assess and evaluate how we can actually move economic development forward in the city of Groton. They have an event that is coming up on May 12th. I'd sent an email, but just wanted to come here tonight to kind of share a little bit more about the event, and then I will resend that email to you guys shortly after this. But the event is on March 12th. It is from 8 to 1 p.m., and it will be in Hartford. But it is about building a main street for a business, building a Main Street business ecosystem. So basically, it's a half-day summit that is going to look at strategies and policies that we can be considering here in the city, and also just a really good chance to network with the Connecticut Main Street teams. These are individuals that we can work with for technical assistance, as well as other businesses that work in the field of economic development, whether it's the analysis part, whether it's the community building part, or whether it's actually like the business support thing. So we will all be gathered. So I thought this would be a really great opportunity for our EDC, Planning and Zoning Commission, and potentially any city councilors to come, and we can just start a really good, robust conversation. If you're not available for the summit that is going to be happening, we do an annual assessment with the Connecticut Main Street team. And so we are in the process of coordinating that, but the EDC does welcome the city councilors and the Planning and Zoning Commission and anybody else who's interested in just talking about the vision of the city of Groton to come to that meeting. But I will be in touch with more information in regards to when that will happen.
So to the counselors, if you are interested in attending, please give my office a call, and we can, or email back to Sierra when she sends out the invitation again. We do have money in the budget to have you attend that training if you're available.
Madam Mayor, can you repeat the date on that?
March 12. Counselor or Deputy Mayor Sheffield.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was my question. What day does that fall
It's a Thursday. Thursday, March 12th, and what was the time again?
It's 8 a.m. to 1 p.m.
So Thursday, March 12th, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m.
on? Okay.
So just let us know if that's something that you are available to attend and would like to go.
Yeah, that'd be kind of tight in my schedule, but we'll see.
Okay.
Appreciate the consideration.
Okay. Mary, if you can hop on up.
Do you want me to pull the chair?
Yes. And come on. You're up. So the next thing on our agenda is Lower Thames View Park. And are you providing a background on this?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And I have a
And if you guys want to
awfully high. One second.
if we can do introductions, I realized, I don't know that everybody has met everybody.
Okay, so as far as introductions, you guys just met me, Sierra Patrick.
I've been here before. Mary Hill, Director of Parks and Recreation. Kurt Procharena, Vice President, Professional Engineer with Lorero Engineering Associates on Thames Street here in Groton.
Thank you.
Okay, so tonight we're here to provide an update on the Thames View Park project. Thames View Park has been going on in the city for quite some bit of time, so I'm going to do a quick run through of things that we have done just to get everybody up to speed. But as we kind of go through this discussion, I did just want to say we have 3 upcoming projects for Thames View Park that are broken out into an ADA accessible access for the lower part, a dock improvements for the lower park, and then thinking about the upper portion of the park. So, quick run through. City of Groton purchased 3 parcels back in 2005 on Thames Street. Shortly after that, they started the demolition work. There was also removal of a stone bulkhead, and then we replaced a new one with some steel.
Well, it got taken out by Superstorm Sandy.
It got taken out by Superstorm Sandy. We had to replace it. We had to replace that. We also added stairs for water access, waterfront access, and created some street parking. For this dock accessibility waterfront park, there were some economic and marketing assessments that were done to identify the demand to actually have a transient dock at this parcel. Also noting that the planned other drivers in the region of like the planned Coast Guard Museum, Thames River Watertich taxi is just like a parcel next door to us, and then obviously electric boat and just the general growth of the workforce here as some driving demanders for this project to move forward. We submitted an application for a SHIP grant back in 2018 to get us some designs to start the construction, design. So this is kind of what the dock system looks like now. And these are renderings that we did for the SHIP grant proposal of what it is that we were trying to, seeking to accomplish. We ended up hiring Coastline to come up with preliminary plans for us. They gave us some cost estimates and also helped us secure our permits, sorry. Here's this preliminary design that you can kind of just know of how this sits out on the water, and then, and this is the lower portion of the park. In 2022, the city did a Visioning Thames Street kind of community engagement initiative, and part of that included a pop-up party where we actually had the community members come out and kind of discuss what were the plans for Thames Street and also what are things that we could do with Thames View Park. Through that engagement, we had people put things on boards, but you could tell here if this black thing wasn't in the way, but the blue is some type of waterfront activity. The pink is programming and public art. Yellow's active spaces, and green is some type of greeting. You can kind of see the obvious ones at the PAF, and at the time of this project, the city of Groton did not own where the Costa House used to be. That kind of translated into this image where you can see the upper and the lower, the waterfront parcels being activated. This lower portion is what we will be what we desire to work on with Lorero to get a ADA access design. So from connection to Thames Street to this lower part, and then eventually we'll have more discussion about the upper portion of the park.
And just for clarification, for those of you who don't know the name of it, the Costa property is that space that is in the green. When Sierra said the Costa House, that is the space that we have subsequently purchased as a city, and the house has been raised, and so it is just flat ground at this moment.
Yes. So over the last couple of years, the city has been dealing with the Costa piece, as Mayor Russ just mentioned. We've also worked with SHIP because there was a kayak launch portion that was proposed in the original scope of work based off of the location of the park and the traffic. It was kind of decided that might not be the ideal spot to allow kayaks to launch from. So we were SHIP approved for that to be removed from the scope of work. And we also confirmed what the city's requirement for ADA accessibility was for this parcel. And I know I'm shooting through this, but at any point you can jump in. Okay.
Getting myself refreshed too.
So here are some images of some current conditions here at the park, and then here is also current conditions, but then proposing with the new facility. Once again, this lower green area is what we're hoping to work on with Lorero's team to get the ADA design down, but this is just general concept that we use to get award funding to actually move this project forward. And this is just another view of what that could potentially look like. But basically in 2025, we did our RFP process, closed out some things with the SHIP grant for administrative purposes, and we reissued some of our permits. Some of this work was done previously, so we just had to get new permits reissued. Now we are here in 2026. We have selected Lorero as our preferred consultant to work with us on the ADA accessibility component of the design. Their fee is roughly, I'm just gonna say about 45K. I don't have the exact, I have it broken down, but not the exact total amount. Okay, so for the design and bid preparation, it's $24,881. And then for construction administration, it's $22,066.50. All of which will be funded through the SHIP award that we were awarded back in 2018. For that award, there is no match component with it, and the award will fully cover all the services. Next phases we would be working on is the actual funding for the construction, which may be paid from portions of, do you want me to go into that now? Sure. Okay, which may be paid in portions from the current planning budget, and also some strategizing of looking for grants and other things that we could also utilize. Our dock permits are now active until the end of 2017. And the lower part must be ADA accessible before we actually can start the dock process. So that's why this next step of actually doing the design work and having the construction admin is critical next step as we move forward. Is there anything else you want to add?
I don't have anything else. I don't know. I think it's, just so everybody understands, it's just our design from the road to the dock. We have to figure that, that's what we're here tonight to have Lario help us with, so that way we can, once we get that done, we can actually get to the docks once they get in place. So it's a big component to getting people access to the docks that we want to put in eventually with the SHIP grant. So it's Nick, right? Kurt. So we brought Kurt along so he could explain what he's going to do for us in his proposal, because this is after weeding out the RFPs, this is a proposal that we would like to move forward with as from the city standpoint, and in regards to what he's going to do for us to get us a design, so then we can get it out to bid to get a construction contractor to do the work. So do you want to?
Sure,
share
yeah,
a little bit with what
I'll be
you've,
very brief and then can answer
Yep.
any questions. So it's a phased process. The process starts with an existing condition survey to define exactly what's there, elevations, the locations of materials. That's our base plan. That'll be done with our survey team out of the Groton office, literally right down the road. Once that existing conditions plan is done, we move into what's called preliminary design, and that's where we'll work very closely with the city to start sketching out various options for providing the ADA access from street level down to the lower part. We'll go through various iterations and really try to strike a balance between cost, long-term maintenance, resiliency, critical being, right on the shoreline. Very iterative process. Once we go through the preliminary design process and everybody's satisfied with the direction that the project is going, we move into what's called final design. That's where more detail gets added to the design materials. Plan sets are developed, multiple sheets that lay out really every component of the project, from erosion sedimentation control, site demolition, preparation, right through to final construction. During that process, we also put together very detailed technical specifications that dovetail with the drawings, and those provide details of materials, how materials need to be constructed, and those are ultimately used by the contractor that's awarded the project. The last phase is the bidding process, where we put together a bid package, working in concert with the city. It goes out to public bid. We work with you to select a contractor. Once that contractor is selected, then we transition into the construction phase, and we're on board throughout the construction phase as the city's representative to make periodic visits to the site, review various contractor submittals, and in general, ensure that the construction is taking place in accordance with the approved design. There's a closeout process where we do some final inspections to make sure that everything's been done in accordance with the design, closeout documentation, warranties, various paperwork, those kinds of things, and right through to the end of the process, we're there to support you. And that really concludes the cycle of the project. After that, typically, it's the fun part where we do a ribbon cutting. So that's a quick overview of the process.
Don't want to know. So all of that information is in your packet, just so that you guys have a more detailed set of information with that. Deputy Mayor Sheffield, you had a question?
Yes, so with all this, excellent planning process that's going on, how long do we anticipate, planning to be completed before we get to the construction piece? How long do you think that, the design phase, if you will?
Yep, initially, our design phase was 11 weeks. We're going to try to compress that as best we can. Got a little bit of a late start. The snow, obviously, is hopefully going to melt quickly, maybe starting next month. Obviously, with the snow on the ground, it impedes our surveyor's ability to get out there. But the moment the snow melts, we'll be out there, and we're going to really try to compress the process so we can get bids out this summer and try to get this thing done by, let's say, December 1, which usually we consider the end of the construction season. That could work out very well for us because by the time we're near the tail end of the project, we'll be into the fall. That's great time for seeding, planting, and the like, so that relates to site stabilization. And then over the winter, and then hopefully in the spring, open for business, as they say.
So
Great, thank you.
this is a project that Deputy Mayor Sheffield and I both approved the grant back in 2018. So when I got on board in November, this was high priority for me to move forward with. I was happy to see that the RFP had gone out and we were starting to move forward. So I'm really excited to hear that we might get this completed, at least the first step being the ADA compliant walkway through this calendar year. So, yeah.
I just want to say how excited I am to see it finished, because the day that the Thamesview River sign went up, I work at a local early care and education center, and the teachers were there like that day, because it was someplace else to go in the neighborhood. We try not to keep the kids at the center. We want them out in the community. We want you to see us walking everywhere. But once they got there, they realized that our strollers could not get down the hill. So the infants and toddlers couldn't take advantage of it. And I know that like along the water, the fencing doesn't go all the way to the building-ish.
Because we don't own all the way to the
I know.
building-ish.
So I'm curious about like that safety piece down there, like against the water, if we're gonna take children down there.
I would, when we work with Kurt, we'll make sure that kind of is a component of it, because we have to be mindful of that property line
Yeah.
next to the old restaurant.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I realized that.
Because it kind of goes on an angle, so,
Yeah.
but those are things that we can look at to make sure that,
But it's so
Yeah.
exciting because it's someplace else for the kids to go so that they can see, and they'll bring their families there, like, look what we see down there. It's just really a neat piece of Thames Street.
Counselor Johns.
I was going to make a bedrock reference here, honestly, like, is there like a contingency plan? Like, what happens if we end up figuring out that there's some more stuff that we need to work on? You guys need to come back and request more funding for this, or is this something that's pretty much going to be covered already?
I can say with certainty on the design side, 100% it'll be covered. We always design to the money that's available, knowing that budgets are always the limiting factor in what we design, so we're very conscious of that. Every once in a while, there are things that reveal themselves once we do the survey and get into the design that we collectively may determine are better for the project overall. If those kinds of things do cause the project to cost more money, we'll certainly talk about it. That's where we'll look at different things like maybe phasing the project. We could have the design, but only certain parts of the design may get constructed till additional funding comes in. So we'll evaluate those things as we go through the process. We're always looking for the best value based on the funding we get, but we don't want to make bad decisions just to save money or stay within a certain budget if those decisions have a negative impact longer term. So we'll strike that balance as we move through the design process.
So we should know before you start building, though, like worst case scenario.
100%.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Counselor Amboise.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Trying to push all these buttons here. Give me a second. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Ms. Patrick and Ms. Hill, for bringing this up. It's been a longstanding item on the to-do list for the city of Groton. I want to ensure that we are abiding by any EPA regulations or ADA regulations moving forward, and I'm sure that you, as the professionals, would know what we need to do or not to do on this project. I'm glad to hear that the SHIP grant got approved here. This was something that I was trying to work on with the town of Groton, but we didn't have anything that was upcoming. But to use that SHIP grant, and then this was something that probably about 4 or 5 years ago that was brought up on the federal level. So the Fed grants are going to be covering this as well. Is that correct? There was a grant for about $600,000 or so to renovate the dock portion of it.
Yes. So yeah, there were 2 SHIP awards that we got. One for the design work for the ADA accessibility, and the other for the actual dock.
Okay. And both of those are still active. I know you
Yeah.
had mentioned something and you said, I'm sure it's inadvertent, Ms. Patrick, about 2017, but it expires in 2027. Is that fair to say?
Those are the permits. We had to
They're the
renew
permits.
permits for the docks, construction work, and so the permits are what expires in 2027. But the
2027, okay. I
Yes.
just wanted to make sure on that. Listen, I am 100% in favor of getting this project done. It's been a long-standing item to try to generate interest in the city of Groton's shoreline. We have a fantastic shoreline. I just want to make sure into what Councilor John said, that we've dealt with this with another project. We don't see cost overruns. We don't see something that the taxpayers are going to have to pay out of pocket for that. So please be diligent in the whole aspect of, worst case scenario, contingency plans. It's better to see it now than see it later. I know we've got a huge retaining wall there and all these other things. So I just want to make sure that we're planning accordingly. Thank you.
So something to note, this is an old grant, so we made sure we met with Connecticut Port Authority, who allocated the grant, to ensure that we could still use it. And we are within the years. They obviously would prefer we spend the grant years ago and used it right away, but we're here now. And so we are trying to get this grant taken care of and make sure that the ADA compliant part is done first, and then we will go ahead with the dock planning. It is an 80-20 grant, so we do have money set aside for that 20%.
Madam Mayor, was that already included in previous budgets, or is that something that we're gonna be putting into a future budget?
That's a future budget.
It will be in a future budget. But we are aware of it, so we know that we need to do this. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so I will take a motion to move approval of the can you pronounce it for me? Is it Lorero?
Lorero.
Thank you. Contract forward to the mayor and council meeting of March 2, 2026, and that is for the ADA accessibility phase for design and bid and construction administration.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you. And then Mary, Subvets Memorial Guardrail. Thank you, Kurt, for coming tonight.
Okay. What am I on? Okay. Mayor and council, good evening. Which one am I doing?
I'm
Basketball
sorry,
courts?
Mohegan
Okay.
Basketball Court club
right.
donation. My apologies, I skipped too
You
far
skipped
ahead of
one.
my packets.
So just a little history, back in 2024, the city entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Connecticut Sun basketball team to help fund the construction of the basketball court at Washington Park. With that agreement, initially they gave us $45,000, and another 15 grand from their foundation, and then from their operations, and then we had an agreement for 2025 to get $25,000, and then 2026 to get another $25,000. So we have recently received our last donation of $25,000 from the Connecticut Sun, which now needs to be accepted as a donation to the city. This money has been put into an account, some kind of financial account with the finance director, for future maintenance on the courts.
A special revenue fund,
Maybe?
special revenue account.
So I'm here to have you guys take the money.
Accept the money. Deputy Mayor Sheffield?
Yes, hi, Mary. Now, this is the last installment of the contract here with Mohegan,
Correct.
the last one.
Yes.
Now, I was reading that they may add additional funding, I guess, after this contract. They were open to donate additional money.
Correct. When we did this in 2024, they were open to additional years. Unfortunately, the individuals that we worked with back when this all came to fruition, February of 2023, none of them are currently with the Connecticut Sun anymore. The Connecticut Sun is, as you have all heard and seen at times, have talked about maybe relocating, so there's no commitment moving forward at this time. That's something we could entertain if they end up maybe staying to move forward. But overall, it's a nice sum of money that we have in an account waiting for us for maintenance. If they do stay, we'll have to repaint it, make sure it stays fresh and looks good over the course of the number of years that it's here.
So it will be placed in the Parks and Rec budget?
I believe Director Uhas, Finance Director, has it in some type of escrow, some kind of a special revenue account, so it's there for us to use for maintenance.
Okay.
Any other
That's all I
questions?
have. Thank you.
Seeing no other questions, I will take a motion to move this to the mayor and council meeting of March 2nd.
So move.
Got a motion and a second?
Seconded?
Thank you. A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. All right. Director Hill, Subvets Memorial Guardrail.
All righty. Okay, so we own the sub-memorial down on the corner of Thames and Bridge Street. The current guardrail fencing that protects the memorial is in dire need of repair. So it was budgeted this past year to replace it. It's rotting. It's a very unique piece of guardrail fence. It's got rebar in it, and it's also got a metal panel on the back side of it, so to keep the vehicles from hitting the wall. We had a different style of guardrail fencing in there when I arrived here in '06 that a couple cars had gone through it. So in order to keep the memorial safe, we've invested in this type of guardrail, and so we're up to replacing it. It's more so the top part of it, not the uprights that hold the top railings of the guardrail, but we did take it out to bid. We got, I think it was 6 bids came in. The low bid was vetted by the purchasing agent and the finance director and myself, and we're here tonight to move forward with hiring HBE Fence Company out of New York. I think it's out of New York, to fix that guardrail fence and make it look better than it is right now, because it's quite rotted in spots.
Any questions?
Stephen looks like he's got a
Deputy Mayor.
Yes, have we used this contractor before, or is it the first time you've used this?
This is the first time we're using this company. This company's done a lot of work in New York, but they're very familiar with the product. That's where we kind of ran into some issues, because it is a unique product. And they were the low bid, and we felt comfortable using them.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions? Counselor Mbois.
All right, thank you, Madam Mayor. So again, I just want to, I thought I heard Director Hill correctly that this has already been approved. Is this costing us additional monies?
No, this was budgeted in our capital improvement, in our CIP in the current budget that we're working out of. So the funds are there out of capital.
All right, and then a follow-up question on that, please, is this in whatever guardrail fence, is that going to abide by whatever Department of Transportation statutes, regulations that they have out there? And the only reason why I'm asking is, on another note, between Route 1 and 117, they've had individuals crashing into the T-zone of 1 and 117. I just want to make sure that it's up to the standards that whatever federal or state regulations are out there. And is this cash amount going to fulfill that requirement?
So it's replacing an existing guardrail that was approved probably, I'm going to say back in 2009, with the product that we're using. It probably got a higher standard because it's got the metal plate behind the wood part. And all the braces, all the uprights that hold them in all have steel plates behind them. So, and we went with the higher end construction like that due to the fact that the all wood guardrail fencings the cars had gone through. So this is probably at a higher standard than what we were actually required for that area, but it's also to protect the memorial.
Does this include a contingency fund for any cost overruns as well?
Yes, it has a 5% contingency in it, but we took it out to bid so we know what our dollar amount is that we have, and it's right on point with what we budgeted.
Great, thank you. I'm in support of this motion.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to move this to the mayor and council meeting of March 2, 2026.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? That passes unanimously.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Okay. So as many of you know, our Public Safety and Public Works Committee has been working very diligently on fire staffing, on fire inspection fees. And so tonight, I'm going to ask Councilor Amboise, who is the chair of that committee, to talk about two different things that has been discussed. We are looking to get your input, and the first thing that we're going to talk about is West Pleasant Valley fire inspection fees. Councilor Amboise.
Sure, thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, I'd like to thank all that have been involved for these meetings, starting in early December when we first got sworn in and we had public comment. There were individuals that were asking for us to look into increasing fire staffing, also to increase quite possibly the firefighter minimum. So those were the base conversations that we had initially. We've had 5 meetings since then. We had one on January 6th, January 20th, January 28th, February 4th, and February 18th. I have shared all the consolidated meeting minutes and documents that we have received over the past 2 months to all of the counselors here just recently, so that you can kind of work through all of the conversations and what we've discussed. It really boils down to 2 main pieces that we've already spoke about before. At a previous meeting, we decided as a COW to have a consensus that we wanted to increase fire staffing. So that's already a given, and part of the way that we wanted to initiate increasing fire staffing was to use and utilize a SAFER grant. SAFER grant for the first 3 years would carry a considerable cost to the federal government rather than us as the city. And then eventually in year 4, it would be full freight onto us. Part of the conversation that our committee had was, yes, that we see a need, but how can we try to generate revenue to offset the cost of adding additional City of Groton staff onto the rolls for the taxpayer? One of the things that we've done already, and we've discussed and approved it, was that we decided that we were going to initiate fire inspection fees for 3 like multifamily houses, 3 or above, and then also for all commercial properties. This, prior to probably 15 years ago, was unable to be done because the Connecticut general statutes didn't have it written that we could do that. And so again, I thank Chief Tompkins and also the firefighters union for bringing up these items that, yeah, we could generate revenue from that. So one of the things that we've done already was to initiate to initiate an ordinance within the City of Groton in order to collect fire marshal inspection fees for these 3-family, also known as commercial, as well as any industrial commercial properties that are going to get either redesigned or built from new within the City of Groton. What I'm speaking to specifically is agenda item D1, West Pleasant Valley fire inspection fees. One of the unique parts of what we have here in the City of Groton is that we are actually covering firefighter protection in West Pleasant Valley area. Part of our minutes have discussed the reason why they do that. One of the things that we were looking for in the past couple of weeks to find any defining language that would prevent us from collecting fire marshal inspection fees from this area as well. And seeing that we did not see any additional language that prevents us from doing that due to the recent document that we had was signed in 1962, and I can attest my neighbor next door was probably the one that was involved in that as a previous firefighter. And then there was only one amendment to that, which I had shared in the meeting minutes for that this previous meeting we had on the 18th that stated all that it was added to was the EMT services. So we as a committee had made a recommendation to us, the council, to institute an ordinance for West Pleasant Valley for fire inspection fees, which is going to be similar to what we have already put into motion for the city of Groton. This could generate significant revenue for us in order to offset the costs. It's not going to be a zero match, but it's going to show the constituents of the city of Groton that we are not only looking to increase firefighter staffing, which is essential for safety purposes, but also to see how we're going to pay for it. And one of the things that we would like to do with these fire marshal inspection fees is to put it into some type of revenue fund so that for transparency purposes, we can see how much money is generated from something that we were getting nothing from in the past. So I'm hopeful that our council will support this item one first, and then we can always talk about the second one, unless the mayor, you want me to do something in a different fashion. But we were looking for increasing staffing. We're looking for finding ways to add revenue to our overall city fund. And these were the two ways that we found it, with City of Groton fire marshal inspection fees and creating an ordinance for that, as well as the West Pleasant Valley fire inspection fees, which we're asking for tonight. And this would also include anything that is involved within Fairview Homes, which we do know that there are some significant building projects that are going to be happening. I cannot guarantee to you all, the council or the public, that those would count in that overall revenue source, but in the future, we have something established so that we can justify increasing firefighter staffing and easing the burden on the city taxpayer.
Thank you, Counselor. So what we are looking for tonight is a consensus as to if you want to move forward with this. So we are working on the fire marshal ordinance for the city of Groton. There's a rough draft that has been sent to the chief and my office, and the chief have been working on it, and we'll try to get that to you as soon as possible. But the question is, do we want to extend this into West Pleasant Valley? The difference here, and I will let you know, the difference here is that it's pretty easy billing from within. It may take us a bit to try to figure out how to do the billing in West Pleasant Valley. I'm just gonna be honest, like that's one of the big hiccups with West Pleasant Valley. We have not socialized this with them, but people from West Pleasant Valley will have the opportunity to come to speak either at a mayor and council or at a hearing when we have the ordinance. So those are options for them as well. Councilor Amboise.
Yes, again, thank you. What was mentioned at our previous meeting that we held is we're already kind of working in concert with the town of Groton already, where we get our taxes basically charged as a city resident and then also as a town resident. I feel like collaborating with the town of Groton would make this an easy transition, especially, and again, I apologize if I didn't give this information prior. Anybody that's in the West Pleasant Valley district who builds a new commercial property or renovates an existing commercial property, as well as builds some sort of multifamily home, 3-family or above, has to fill out a building inspection permit through, or a building permit through the town of Groton. So if we have the ability to work with them in order to tag on or tack on a West Pleasant Valley Fire Marshal inspection fee along with that, again, it might take a little bit of a logistical lift temporarily, but it can increase our revenue stream to justify increasing firefighter staffing moving forward.
Chief, do you want to join this conversation at all? I didn't mean to keep you out of it.
Well, if you have questions.
Okay. You're welcome to join the table. I don't. Deputy Mayor?
I would certainly like to sit down with the finance director, hopefully, to go over these funding options that we have, because I see various types of options that we have, but I want to make sure we're going to use the right one, and that it's going to be sustained to where there won't be a future burden on the city. And, you know, I see this thing about collaboration with the town. It could be a nice idea. I'm not sure if the residents of the city would want that, and I think that has to be taken into consideration as well. But I'm hoping to have the finance director on one of these meetings to kind of go over the financial numbers of where the money's going to be allocated. I just heard of a special account, special fund. How does that go into concert with the overall annual budget that we have each year? So there's definitely pieces that need to get put together. So I want to hope that the finance director has an absolute plan of how this is going to be implemented. So I hope at some point he attends one of these meetings regarding the funding of additional firefighters. That's my concern.
So how I understand this, and Chief, if I'm incorrect in any way, please let me know. If we were to do this, you would take your building fees, and a percentage of that building fee would also be charged to the person who's building, whatever they're building. That fee would then be put aside in our budget in an account, basically, that is for the fire department. The following year, we could allocate that into our budget to say, this fund is going to be used to help offset the cost of the fire department. So we have other revenues that we use. I'm trying to think of one, and of course I can't come up with one now that I'm trying to come up with one. Say Groton Utilities pays for a portion of a budget. It will show under there, Groton Utilities, under revenues, under who's paying for the budget. So it's not all taxpayers, it would be taxpayers, GU. So in this case, the fire department in the following years would say, this is how much taxpayers are going to be paying for this. This is how much this revenue line would be paying. Am I making sense? So if there was a grant in place, say we had a $10,000 grant, it would be under there as well. So it's just offsetting the taxes that would be paying for that budget.
Is that just to me or to?
That's to you. That's to you.
Okay.
So this money that is coming in, if we choose, so we've already said yes that we want to move forward with an ordinance for fire marshal fees in the city. If that passes in the city, then any money that comes in through that fire marshal fee would be set aside until the subsequent fiscal year, and then that money would be put into the budget to offset the cost of the firefighters that we are looking to hire, or firefighters in the future.
Okay, keep going, all right. I get what you said.
So if we choose to do this, so we've already said yes, that we're interested in moving forward with the fire marshal. Let me start that sentence again. We've already stated that we are interested in moving forward with a fire marshal ordinance in the city. The question here is, do we want to do the same thing with West Pleasant Valley, which is an area that we not only provide fire protection for, but we also provide fire marshal services for. At this point, they are paying for they're paying for firefighting services. There's nothing in the clause that says anything about fire marshal fees. That has increased over the years. JC, what year did you say 1960 it was signed? 60.
Madam Mayor, it was 1962 when
Thank
that
you.
was signed.
So since 1962, there's been a pretty good increase on how many fire marshal services we have needed to provide for West Pleasant Valley. The question is, do we want to add an ordinance to also include West Pleasant Valley in that? That money also would be put into that account to offset any costs of the fire department.
I don't have a problem with that, unless there's some stipulation that you need approval from the town to do it. If not, and it's strictly Groton City revenue, then absolutely I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Chief, can you talk about the fact that other fire departments do this as well?
I know my voice is a little raspy there. If there's no problem with the funding part, as far as, no conflict with the town, as far as the revenue, if the revenue is strictly to the city for this, then I wouldn't have a problem with that, long as, I guess, there isn't, revenue sharing with the town. Hopefully there isn't, a conflict.
Yeah, so really what we're doing is we already had the discussion about charging fire marshal fees in the city. We also offer fire marshal fees to West Pleasant Valley Fire District because we're contracted for fire service up there. And so this would just be, authorizing me to do more research on, it wouldn't be an ordinance because it's not the city of Groton, so we can't make an ordinance for West Pleasant Valley Fire District. But we would charge fees for fire marshal services, just like we're going to charge fees for fire marshal services here in the city. So I know we're talking about staffing and potential revenue sources to fund that staffing, but the reality is with the fire marshal fees, all we're really looking for is an authorization for me to research exactly how we could charge those fees for West Pleasant Valley. We know how to do it for the city. It's an ordinance. But for West Pleasant Valley, there would be more work because it's not the City of Groton Building Department. It's the Town of Groton Building Department that receives the permit applications. And so we would have to figure out how we could charge a fee working with them, or they could notify us, maybe we just charge the fee. But other districts, Old Mystic Fire District and Bucquonic Bridge Fire District, they charge fire marshal fees that are piggybacked off of the building department fees. So somebody applies for a building permit, and then Bucquonic Bridge is notified of that, and then Bucquonic Bridge bills that person also for fire marshal services. And that's what we're looking to do in West Pleasant Valley.
Counselor?
Okay, so it's a free exploration of this option, basically.
Yeah, we are, it is illegal. Yeah, it's legal for us to charge fees. The city has never charged fees before. It was new, I'm not sure exactly, but say 15 years ago, the state allowed us to start to charge fees, fire marshals to start to charge fees. They've already allowed building fees for years, and they recognized the fact that the fire marshals and the codes associated with that were greatly increasing, and so they allowed fees to be charged. It takes up, 90% probably of the deputy chief's job is fire marshal. Even though technically I'm the fire marshal, he does most of the legwork. Our battalion chiefs are also trained to be fire marshals, and they do some fire marshal work. So there's definitely cost involved in running a fire marshal's office, and we can recoup that. And that's what we're doing with the ordinance in the city, and it's just only fair to then also charge West Pleasant Valley Fire District, the same fee.
Okay. I guess let's take a look at it.
Counselor Johns.
Thanks. First, I just wanted to thank Councilman Amboise and everybody who was involved in figuring out a way to actually fund this, because there is no question that we need to add firefighters to our city, and I think we should be doing it any way we possibly can. So the way I understand it, so we have 4 years basically, right? So if we create this fund, we should be able to then, like basically for the next 3 years, we can compile this budget or whatever we're getting out of this to be able to then afford the fees after the grant that we would be applying for expires. That's my first question. The second question is, does the town already impose these fees for fire marshals? Because it would be, for me or to me, it would be nice if they were also on board with this process, because if they were charging as well, I'm just thinking about business as a whole, coming to the city versus like going over to the town or something like that. And like, well, how come they're charging this? Why, you know what I mean? Why do we have to incorporate this into our budget? So I'll stop there and just let you answer.
Well, I think on part of your question, the town has nothing to do with fire service in the town of Groton, really. It's all fire districts. The city of Groton is your fire department. Paquonic Bridge Fire District, Old Mystic Fire District, it's all broken up into districts. Each district is then in charge of the fire marshal's services. And each district then can decide to charge a fee or not charge a fee. So Old Mystic charges fees. Paquonic Bridge Fire District charges fees. So it's not taking any fees away from the town. It's not in partnership really with the town. The town, gets building fees, just like the city gets building fees. But each fire district or the city of Groton Fire Department can charge a fee for fire marshal services. So I know we're talking about two different issues, but really the issue at hand, the easy issue, I think, is simply to say, yes, we want to investigate fire marshal services in West Pleasant Valley Fire District. We're doing it in the city. We want to investigate it and do it in the town, in West Pleasant Valley Fire District, because it's fair to charge them fees if we're going to charge our own residents fees. That's one issue. The next issue is staffing. And yes, we need staffing. How are we going to pay staffing? This was part of the way we pay for staffing. It's a revenue source that is not currently tapped into, and it can bring in, it would be something I would have to investigate in West Pleasant Valley Fire District. In the city, it's a large number. It can be upwards of, $400,000 in a year. It might not be that much. That how building permit fees, they go up, they go down. But it would be based off of a percentage. So, for example, this year, they've already brought in over $1 million in building fees. So if we're charging 65% of that for fire marshal fees, it's $650,000.
Yeah.
Now, that's a very rough number. I'm not wanting you to think that's going to be every year.
Yeah.
But it will historically, it would be hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Now, that's a revenue source that can be used for staffing. And that's part of the reason we're having this discussion. But the reality is, we're having an ordinance for fire marshal fees. We're asking permission for me to investigate how we would have fire marshal fees in West Pleasant Valley Fire District.
Yeah, seems
That's
like a
really the
no-brainer.
one question. Then we can get to the staffing question, which is more complicated.
Thank you for clarifying, and yeah, that seems like a no-brainer. I'm definitely in favor.
Counselor Amboise.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, thank you, Chief, for articulating that very well. You know my guy, Chief Scarano, like back when he was involved in this in the 60s, before City of Groton was providing fire protection for West Pleasant Valley, who was the firehouse that was taking care of that area? Do you happen to know?
I do not know. No. I mean, might have been cobbled together.
I've heard it plenty.
Oh.
He's like, well, it was Center Groton.
Oh, there you go.
Center Groton was the area that was supposed to protect that area. And he's told me this story many a times. By the time that Center Groton got there, City of Groton had already taken care of it. And that was based on the base reason why they chose to take City of Groton and have them provide fire protection, because again, we had more staff, we were closer to the scene, and now you can think from 62 to 2026, has that area changed at all? Like, again, you've got a lot more industrial, now you've got a brand new residential property, commercial property that's gonna be built there. So it's only gonna add more calls for service for your staff members. And it's gonna add more possible building renovations, possible commercial housing properties, and so on for that. I'm going to be fully transparent here in reading the language of the document that was sent. Again, I think City of Groton firefighters do a fantastic job in covering services for that area. If for some reason that they decided that they wanted to go back to some other area, whether it's Center Groton, whether it's Pequannock Bridge, excuse me, either way, they're going to have to, if they go to Pequannock Bridge, they're still going to have those fire marshal inspection fees now, because they have that same ordinance in. Is that correct?
They charge fire marshal fees
Sure.
yes, Pequannock.
So again, I think on the end of the location and the situation of where we're at, this is a great endeavor to investigate to see how we can try to make this happen so that we can generate revenue so that we can offset the costs on our next item on the agenda, which is increasing firefighter staffing. Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? Seeing none. All those, oh, actually, I'm not even going to take a motion. I just want a consensus. Are we all in favor of Chief Tompkins researching and getting more information on West Pleasant Valley fire inspection fees? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Yes, got all the yeses there, wow. Okay, so that is a yes, thank you. And then the other thing that we wanted to talk about, Councilor Amboise, was fire staffing.
All right, thank you so much again. Again, got to give props to the Public Safety, Public Works Committee, Chief Tompkins, all of the union firefighter representation that showed up diligently for all of the meetings that we had. We had extremely robust conversations to try to see how we can enhance the firefighter staffing within the city of Groton. The bulk of why we're here today having this conversation is because the committee members wanted to include the rest of our council in order to make this decision. It's a difficult decision to make. It's not difficult on safety. Let me just be clear about that. You know, we had a lot of statistics and calls for service that were provided by the chief and the other firefighters that, you know, they are stretched thin. To be clear, there's no established guidelines on what the firefighter minimum is. There's the National Firefighters Protection or Association that has their standards. There's OSHA that has their standards. We are in compliance with the standards that are required by OSHA. There are no state standards on what a firefighter minimum is. However, knowing what we've dealt with in the past 6 to 8 months with the tragedy down at Groton Towers, and again, we were very fortunate in a sense where, you know, a lot of the people were able to be evacuated. Unfortunately, someone lost their life in that tragedy. It was a perfect situation where there was a lot of mutual assistance that helped out with that situation. However, what we've seen in that case is an individual that could be per se a battalion chief organizing and directing people at a site where there's an emergency is occupied doing another job because we are understaffed. So one of the things that we've talked about is trying to increase the firefighter staff by a specific amount so that we can increase the firefighter minimum from 4 to 5, so that we have adequate staffing in case of an emergency. Part of the information that I provided for you guys was a document that was composed by the Groton Firefighters Union Local 1964. I'm looking at proposed staffing options. So far as a council, we have agreed by consensus to fund or seek out 3 firefighter positions using and utilizing SAFER grant. Unfortunately, due to the recent and current U.S. government shutdown, all applications, all things that were in process are now on hold because that is a part of what has been shut down. This makes it difficult to try to onboard firefighter staff with the current fiscal year budget. So what we have here is a decision to make as a group, and I wanted to include everybody in this. I am in favor of increasing firefighter staffing. I would like to include all of us in deciding what that looks like. The goal eventually should be so that we could have enough firefighter staffing so that we have a 5-person firefighter minimum on all shifts. And that's why I wanted to include you all on this conversation. There's a couple of different proposals out there that we had discussed, whether it's the hiring of 3 on contingency of approving the firefighter SAFER grant. There was discussion as well of hiring 1 firefighter like ASAP and put that into the budget. And there's others that have been proposed through the documentation that we've set out to do. In light of recent events that we've had here for emergencies, I feel it's important to get the community involved in this discussion. There's been some that have supported this of increasing firefighter staffing, which I wholeheartedly agree. I know there's a reluctance to increase taxes on the city residents, but for safety purposes, I feel that it's justified and needed. But I wanted to include all of you in this decision prior to making it so that we can have full transparency to the public on what we want to do and what we want to see moving forward. So with that being said, I'll open it up for discussion, Madam Mayor, so that we can talk about what it is that we want to see happen with increasing firefighter staffing.
Thank you, Councilor Boaz. And I want to start this by just saying thank you again, as you said. Thank you to the committee for all of your hard work. Thank you to all of the firefighters, to Chief Tompkins, for coming out time after time. For those of you who can't see from the cameras, we do have a full house here. I have said since day one that increasing staffing is a top priority of mine. Getting up to a 5% minimum is a top priority of mine. The question is, how do we do that? And in what, how quickly can we do that? And how do we fund that? So that's been the major question, and that's why we've gone to committee, and that's why we're bringing it in front of you today. So what we had talked about, just so everybody kind of is recapped, if we were hoping to apply for the SAFER grant. If we did so, we would look at adding approximately $110,000 to the budget this year, which would cover the 25% of 3 new firefighters. And then hire as we got the SAFER grant. So then we would hire those firefighters. We looked at with the by adding one firefighter, by adding that $110,000, you're adding about $21 a year to a property of $300,000. That's about a 1.7% mill rate increase. Problem with the city of Groton is our budget's very small, so any amount is going to increase your mill rate quite significantly. So just keep that in mind. So about $21 to do that plan. Budget the $110,000 and apply for the SAFER grant. If we don't get the SAFER grant, we have $110,000. We're partway into the budget. We could always hire an additional firefighter with that, and then wait to the subsequent year, and then hire the additional 2 using the money that we would potentially get with fire marshal fees. If we were to look at hiring 3 immediately, it would increase, assuming 3% increase across the budget, which is what I have asked all of our department heads to stay at 3% or less. If everybody else stayed at 3% or less, the fire department went up 3% and added $450,000 to the fire budget, which would be your 3 firefighters. That is $150.25 approximately for a $300,000 valued house property. That is a 12.2% increase. We are projecting some of our budgets are going to be in excess of 3%. So that's not to scare you. That's just to give you facts. This is where we're at. You had asked about kind of the savings and holding it up. Yep. So if we got the SAFER grant, we would hold that money aside and use it as needed to offset the fire department. It could be used right away. It could be used down the road as we see fit. So I will open that up for discussion now that you have all the information. Go ahead. Or you have some of the information. I don't think we'll ever have all of the information.
So what are our options to take this to the public?
We could, well, this is kind of how we take it to the public. So we could go out and do town hall meetings and discuss this specifically, or other items that people want to talk about as well. We can get it out on social media. We can get it out on our Facebook page. We could do on our website. We could do a poll to see what people are interested in. I'm open to anything. My goal is to get to 5 staff minimum and additional firefighters hired. The question is, do we do that this fiscal year? Do we do that next fiscal year? How do we do that?
I'm in favor of a poll. I
Okay.
think for me personally, I think that, even if it was on our website, you know what I mean, for the city or something along those lines, or people could, we could put it out through Facebook and let people know, at least it's in their faces so that they understand this was not an easy decision. However, we ended up deciding. I think personally, the option 2, I know it's probably, either one of these is hard, right? Option 2 for me personally would be the way to go for now, I believe. Because of that mill, I know it's dollars, right? But that is a big deal to a lot of our community, I believe. I know also so is not having staffing to put out fires. But I think that would be the way that I would be leaning.
When you say option 2, can you tell me what that means to
Yeah,
you?
so it'd be to hire 2 firefighters by July
Oh.
2026, and then apply for the SAFER grant.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just so you know, there are other options on the back as well. Okay. Okay. Counselor Boss.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, it's a decision that I'd like to incorporate on the sentiments of what Councilor John said, to include the public on this. Whether it's a City of Groton survey that we could pump out, enhancing this on our social media pages about public comment. We're going to be having public comment within the next 2 meetings, so that we can try to generate input to see whether it is something that they're interested in doing. Me personally, I'd rather our city be safer than not safer, and then include the safer. I'm throwing a whole lot of safers in there because there's a lot of safer grant opportunities. I could agree with Councilor Johns on option 2, but I also think that option 4 is an option, and again, in a hybrid sense, where you could hire one, and again, I'm using the document that was given to us by our Groton Firefighters Union local, hiring one so that we can try to alleviate a small portion of the need that we have right now, but then applying for a bigger portion for the SAFER grant moving forward. This is where it kind of gets wonky. We had a lot of discussions about SAFER, and we know that there's an expiration date on when we're approved for SAFER, or to hire those folks. We got an 18-month window on when we can. And I know that we've discussed this before, Madam Mayor, about if we're unable to secure the SAFER fund grant, then we would use the money that is allocated into the next fiscal year's budget to hire a firefighter. There might be an option 5 here, and I think we just probably need to have a little bit more discussion on that, because if you hire, or if you're looking to hire more people sooner, although it's going to be deferred, we're not going to end up utilizing all those funds to begin with, if that makes sense. So again, I'm all for having more discussion on this. I feel it was quite important for all of us as council and the public to decide what we want to do, to see how this is going to look like long term. But I would agree with you, Madam Mayor. The goal right now is to get us as a city to have a 5-person firefighter minimum on staff moving forward as soon as we can. So, like I said, I'm here to have those conversations, and I'm here to support whatever this group's input is to make the best decision.
Okay. Something that I want to ask Chief, we know that we have one retirement coming up.
Yeah,
We have one retirement coming up that has been announced already.
yes, yes. Yes,
Um,
sorry, I was thinking in the union. I'm
No,
thinking-
nope.
Yes,
I'm just trying to figure out if we have the possibility of internal people retiring, how many I'm trying to word this carefully. How many firefighters is it possible to hire in a year? Meaning, just logistically, if we have people retiring and we need to be hiring firefighters, is it even possible to hire 6 people in a year? Okay, I'm getting a yes from
Is
the
it
peanut gallery.
possible? Yeah, we've hired 2 people, multiple times. We've hired 3 people,
Okay,
a week apart just for seniority reasons, but basically in a group. So
Okay.
we have done it in the past. It's harder and harder, to find people. The job market is, being what it is. But that would be, on me to try and,
Okay.
get a class that we could hire.
okay. So what I'm hearing is I guess the question is, we've all committed to the SAFER grant. Are we committed to moving forward to try to get more public comment? Maybe do a poll, do on Facebook and on our website to try to get the feel of the community? I feel like we are all committed, and correct me if I'm wrong, we are all committed to moving forward to try to get to a 5 staff minimum and hiring at least 3, if not more, but at least 3 firefighters in the next soon timeframe, and we haven't defined what soon looks like, and I think that's what we're asking on our poll, is what does soon look like? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, Chief, how many firefighters do you expect to retire in the next 6 months?
We could have anywhere from 0, well, we would need a deputy chief for sure. So we would have 1 to 3.
Okay, so with that in mind, a sense of urgency to get 5 per shift, which by technically 15 would be kind of slim at this point. Like I said, if you're gonna lose potentially 3, and then you may have to hire 3, we're still kind of at status quo. So how are we going to, try to, is there an urgency to have additional funding for firefighters that may not be available, potential future firefighters that might not be available? If you lose 3, you're gonna need 3, but then, you're gonna have to get 6. Is that feasible to get 6 firefighters in that quick of time frame?
Well, the current contract requires 4 firefighters to be on duty at all times. So we're contractually obligated to fill that with overtime or do, whatever we have to do to have 4 on always. So that would, in essence, not be a problem. So the current people who leave, yes, there would be vacancies, but their spot would be filled with overtime, which is the way we have done it, in the past. That's a common occurrence. Adding more, yes, it is can be a burden because, it takes time to onboard people, get them, vetted and trained. So certainly we would work diligently to do that, but we would definitely have 4 on. We're trying to get to a 5-person minimum, which, you could do right now. You could say, put it on with overtime. You would have to find funds for that. We don't have funds for that. That's what we're trying to figure out. How do we get to 5 the fastest way and then budget for it? That's really what we're asking.
Right, because obviously if you're talking overtime, you would have to put it in this year's budget if you anticipate, retirees, within this, budget cycle. So you probably have to look to budget overtime in the budget coming up.
You're talking about the fiscal year 27,
Right.
the next budget, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that is something that we look at and that when I'm in my budget preparation, I look at. But overtime for my department is an ever-moving, item. There's no way to because of the amount of time people can take off and sick time, and you might have workers' comp. It's very, very hard to pinpoint, how much. Because for everybody who leaves and retires, certainly we have to cover with overtime at times, but we're also saving their salary because we're no longer paying them. So there's a balance. Although you're paying overtime, you're saving money on salary. So, we balance that in the budget, or that can offset if there's an overage in overtime. So that's the way it's normally handled budgetarily throughout the year. It will be a challenge. Definitely it will be a challenge, but we'll figure it out. What we need to figure out is, how many people and how we can get there, how we budget that, and how we support that.
So,
What the concern would be is, just trying to get people at least the minimum. And like I said, we want to have 5, but will it be a struggle just to get 4? And to where, will there be that capacity, I guess, for ability to get to 5 if we lose, firefighters in the next, 6 to 8 months?
Right. Contractually, we have to have 4. We don't have a choice. Contractually, we don't have to have 5, so we're trying to get there, and I think everybody understands that can take some time. Walk before you run, to where we're getting to that. Okay, we're going to always have 5. Like now, we always have 4, and that's what we're trying to build. But we don't want to delay that, indefinitely. We're trying to take steps, and that's what the Public Safety Committee and the mayor, and that's the discussions we've been having. It's what the council and what the, community, will bear. Because if you tell me tonight that you want to hire 6 new firefighters, I'll be in HR tomorrow, looking to hire 6 new firefighters. You just tell me you're going to give me the money, because I do not have that in my budget right now.
well, and that's the urgency of this time frame, is that we are coming into the end of the budget cycle. So, but just be aware that what I put in the budget, what Chief and I have, been meeting about, and however we decide to put that in the budget, if the decision is made after that we want to increase it or decrease it, however you want to do that, that is something that you are able to do as a council. You are able to say, you know what? Since the mayor's budget has come out, this is what we've learned, this is what we know that the public will do. Either up or down, you can cut, you can raise. So that is the power of this council and what you can do. So, just so you're aware of how that works. Councilor Amboise. Oop, you're muted. There.
Sorry,
There you
thank
go.
you. I don't want to take up any extended time on this conversation, although I feel it's quite important. Part of our discussion that we had at our committee meeting was trying to utilize overtime in order to get to that 5 staffing minimum, which would have expended our current fiscal year's contingency of $115,000, and then would have went over $220,000 in order to fund that 5-person minimum till the end of June. If that were to happen, then we would have to, by charter, go back and have another Freeman's meeting to approve the expenditures for that fiscal year. I'm not in support of that right now because I'd like to see us get to the point in fiscal year end 27 where we can build and get to the goal of having a 5 staffing minimum. One question that I have for you, Madam Mayor, which I don't know, so I want to give it to you, is what is the deadline for us to add any budget expenditures? I know you just mentioned that on what we could add or reduce from the budget that you're proposing, but what would you say is your deadline date to have this up, printed, and ready for the public to consume for our budget proceedings?
You will get your budgets beginning of April, and we'll be debating them in April. So again, what I put in the budget doesn't have to be what remains the budgeted number.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, so what I have moving forward for me is that we are going to reach out to the public more. We are asking the public, so if you are watching this, please come to the mayor and council meeting on the March 2nd. It is at 7:30. Please come out for public comment and state how you feel on this. Additionally, we will be putting out a poll on Facebook and on our website to get public input on what the public would be interested in doing. I am happy to hear that everyone on this council is committed to the 5 staffing minimum and to increasing our staffing levels. I think we just need to come to a consensus on how we're getting there. So, is there any other questions or comments?
Madam Mayor, one other thing.
Yes.
We do have another mayor and council meeting on March 17th, is that correct?
I
might
don't
be
have a
wrong on that
calendar in
date.
front of me.
March
Give me 1
16th?
second. Let me look at my calendar. It would be March 16th, yes.
March 16th. Again,
Yeah.
I would also encourage for anybody that's interested in this topic and having their voice heard to please show up at either the March 2nd meeting, the March 16th meeting. That one's at 6 p.m. Is that correct?
March 16th. Mayor and
Yeah.
councils are always at 7:30.
6:30.
7:30.
That one's at 7:30. Okay, so both of them are at 7:30. Residents of Groton, please, City of Groton, please show up and have your voices heard. You can also email us. I appreciate, Madam Mayor, you getting this out on social media so that we can have these conversations and see what the public is looking for in this. I'm wholeheartedly in support of safety within our community. And if it does cost us a nominal amount of tax increases, then I am in support of funding however many firefighters that the public is willing to endure for us to get to that goal of the 5-person minimum sooner rather than later. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments tonight? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
This motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you all very much. I appreciate you being here tonight.